So welcome everybody, my name is Petra Lomaya, this is the Nevelle show, and we are having Wednesday, which is a wild card. So I was thinking, what can we do today which may actually be fun? So I looked at this movie last night, or this documentary, which was about aliens. And aliens declassified. Now, I'm not sure that that's really what I should be doing, so I'm really doing something else. But what I did find quite interesting, I mean, of course, I'm not going to be an ufologist just because I see something about aliens on Netflix. It may be true, it may not be true. I think there are some things that may support it, not because I saw that Netflix documentary, but because some people in the military actually told me that they knew about it, but they may have been taken in as well. Who knows? But and also with the whole conspiracy theories and everything, well, everybody who has worked in a big corporation knows that things will be shoved under the carpet, or there will be talking points, which means everybody has to be on the same page and say the same stuff. That is just how the world works, right? And that is also how government works. If you don't believe that, take a look at YouTube and Google, or YouTube, you can't say Google on YouTube, right? And take a look at the video which is called Duck and Cover. You will laugh your head off. It is very funny. It is actually a video, as far as I know, that was shown to the population in the 1950s in order to make sure that they are not afraid of nuclear war. And it explains to you how you can avoid being hurt by an atomic bomb by ducking and covering and putting a blanket over your head. So, you know, so that there may be some things that the government doesn't tell everybody, but then that may actually be a good idea as well, right? But what I found actually was really interesting in that documentary was that there was the theory by some ufologists that it's not just, you know, aliens abducting people and doing bad things to us, but that they may have prevented nuclear war, because every time it came to it, there was some sort of malfunction in the system. Somebody broke into the system. So I thought that was an interesting thought, because that is usually not something that you hear from conspiracy theorists. Usually they always think that any conspiracy is a bad thing, is for the detriment of the population, but sometimes there may actually be conspiracies that are actually for the population, I think, as well. Anyway, so that was my thought, my weird thought of today. But those people who have followed me on LinkedIn for a while know that I occasionally have these odd posts, and people seem to like them because I usually get most hits on these odd posts. I have a whole lot of posts that are really interesting, really good for business and stuff that I forward, and not many people look at it, but if I put an odd post like this, suddenly, well, doesn't go viral necessarily, but there's quite a lot of hits on it. So I thought I'd throw that in, usually on Wednesdays, because Wednesdays is the wild card. Again, for those who haven't tuned in before, on Sundays we will, you know, do some spiritual stuff as fits the day, at least in this zone. It may be different in other time zones in other countries. On Monday we will do non-violent resistance, and that is because of the PETS course, because I did promise that we would do that we would take a look at different types of techniques on Mondays, so that we can also protect our pets, not necessarily because we want to have a big political uprising somewhere, but because some of these techniques can also be used in a very confined environment and can be very useful. On Tuesdays, what did we do yesterday? Tuesday is funny day, funny pet videos, which we had, and today's the wild card. Tomorrow is going to be win-win situations in terms of tech. So win-win tech day. On Friday will be the most interesting bits I've seen during the week. On Saturday is free. Okay, so this is kind of the schedule, because this is the beginning of the show. I just kind of wanted to reiterate that. Now, what did I really want to talk about today? Win-win. Why win-win? Because everything in our company in Nevelle is about win-win. Doesn't it help if you just tell people what to do? If you just explain to them why they should be doing it and that it's right. I used to think that is actually enough, that you just have really good arguments that something is a good thing, and then everybody's going to do it. Because, right, it's logical, right? Well, unfortunately, people aren't Vulcans. So they are usually driven by their emotion. They need to have that emotion in order to drive them forward, and then they will justify whatever the emotion made them do by finding some rational argument for it. So it doesn't really work with a rational argument when it goes against their emotion, when it goes against their interest. And there is some social research out there that most people, really 70% of the population, they may pretend that they're doing things for other people, and sometimes they may actually feel that they're doing things for other people, but it's really for themselves. So a lot of people will be nice to others, but that is because they expect something back. Or they will be nice to others because otherwise they will be penalized by others. So it is really something in order to help themselves. They wouldn't necessarily do it if nobody would be watching, but some would. Some would. And some, not everybody is always the same. Even in those 70%, there will be moments where people are absolutely altruistic and where they would do the right thing no matter if somebody watches or not. But usually people, it is better if you have something that is, that is for their benefit as well, if you want them to do something. That's why we are looking for win-win situations. And the good thing is at the moment, there are real win-win situations with those in power, with those who have all that money as well, in terms of win-win situations with the environment, because you can make a whole lot of money doing that. And why not? Why not go and align? There's this book, Swimming with Sharks, and it always says you can swim with sharks as long as you align with them. And not all of the people who are out there in corporations are sharks. They may just sometimes on the way up not have known how to do things in a different way. And if you have a good idea, they may actually really love it. The reason why I'm saying that is I used to work in a completely different industry, an industry that you would not associate necessarily with environment or the earth or animals or anything. But I did make a very interesting experience there. I'm not going to go into which companies it was and so on and so forth. But let's just say that there was a market situation that was very dire, and all of a sudden all the procedures needed to be changed. Right? And it was a real pain, but people then realized they needed a system, otherwise it wouldn't work. Otherwise it wouldn't, they couldn't do what they needed to do really in order to control the situation. So they invented a system, a rudimentary one. And it was a pain in the beginning, but after 3 months they had it, and then they realized they all of a sudden had all this information, and that information could be used, and that could be used to good effect. And then they made a better system, and a lot more people helped with it. A lot more people who really knew what they were doing helped with it. And it is a system that, as far as I know, they still have today, which made them a hell of a lot of money, because initially it was just a change project. But because they were at the forefront of this change, they also had information that nobody else had, which gave them an opportunity in the market, which means they made a whole lot of money out of it. Everybody else, after a while, the lawmakers saw that this was a good idea and told everybody else that they had to do this too. But everybody else didn't make a whole lot of money, because then everybody else had the information already. But they still had to do the work, and they had to do the work in a much more bigger context. So sometimes change is just another word for innovation. And as Peter Drucker already said, business is innovation and marketing. You cannot survive long term in a business if you don't innovate. So if you reframe change as innovation, it becomes a whole lot more attractive. And we can use that in this day and age with our message as well. When we want to protect the environment, when we want to protect animals, if we find win-win situations and somebody's at the forefront, they can make a whole lot of money, because this is a change that is happening now where everybody knows it needs to be happening. And take a look at some of the people who are at the forefront. Take a look at Elon Musk, for example. Right? You may think about him whatever you think. I don't know what you're thinking. But, take a look at electric cars, and you may not be totally convinced by electric cars, but it certainly is a stage in between towards, maybe the batteries on the greatest thing in the world, but it is a stage towards something else. And if that stage hadn't been there, something else wouldn't be developed, because it's only because these batteries were developed, just like this rudimentary system initially was developed, that then people said, oh, well, we can do it much better, and we can do this with hydrogen, and that is much, better for the environment and everything. They wouldn't have done that without that stage in between, without them seeing, hey, actually, you can do it differently. And it is actually profitable. Elon Musk didn't only show everybody that it was possible, that you could make money doing the right thing and using electric cars and doing environmentally friendly things. He also became the richest man in the world. I mean, it used to be just an axiom, just something that people would believe, that if you do the right thing, you always lose out monetarily, right? You always lose out in terms of money. Well, he did the right thing. He did things and pushed an entire industry forward, and everybody else had to follow then and is following, and suddenly it all works, right? He pushed an entire industry forward, and he still became the richest man on earth. So that is a precedent. That is like the 100, what is it? The whatever 4-minute mile, right? At least as far as I know. So this is a really interesting thing. And the other really interesting thing is he is not the only one. There's a whole lot of really, really, really rich people, including Bill Gates, including the CEO of Salesforce, including a whole lot of other people who are very interested in that right now, who are very interested in finding win-win situations with the environment and in cleaning up the environment. And you will take a look, if you take a look at the World Economic Forum, for example, it used to be for people like us, for people, who were kind of hippies and people who would believe in the environment. It was like the worst people on earth, basically. I mean, I was never at the demos, but the demos, right? Against the World Economic Forum. Take a look at their posts now. They are the trailblazers for environmentally friendly tech. And they've got all the people who know about it. They've got all the expertise. It's the best time for us right now to make allies and to enlist the richest and the brightest and the most beautiful people on earth in order to help those that we really care about. So that is a really exciting time. And I wanted to do this as an intro, because everything in this series, everything that we do is kind of influenced by this. So I hope it interests you too, and I hope I will see you in the future. So tomorrow is Thursday, tomorrow is Win-Win Tech Day, and I'll see you then, hopefully. Bye.